So let's begin. And I've included a picture here of Salvador Dali's, paintings on time, if you're aware of it. Because I think what's strange about this question is its focus on past, present, and future. It shows you, yeah, almost like the complexity of like time here. So I want to look at this article in depth with you, and this is called Against Presentism by Lynn Hunt from 2001. And I think this is perhaps going to show you ways of thinking about history, which, the uses of history and its relationship to the present, which hopefully will be useful for you all. And I'm just going to get that up on my screen. Great, let's share my screen again. Thank you for your patience. So I'm sharing the article here, and you can see on the speaker's notes, as always, the link to the article is present. So she gives a very useful definition of presentism. And just before I go further, I want to explain that this is a great news magazine. It's from the American Historical Association, called the AHA for short, which is probably one of the most reputable historical associations in the world. There's also the British Academy, and yeah, the British Historical Associations as well. AHA is really useful because it does a lot of roundtables and historiographical discussions on this, and it's quite useful for looking at certain trends. And when this was written in 2002, I think it's more relevant now today, even 22 years later. So I think there's a tendency for people to use history to explain trends in the present, or to apply their own concerns about the past, about the present, onto certain historical themes that they look at. And I think this is quite present, for example, with things to do related to the climate. So she gives a great introduction. So presentism besets us in two different ways: the tendency to interpret the past in presentist terms, and the shift of general historical interest towards the contemporary period and away from the more distant past. So we see that actually these two concerns that she highlights, and these two criticisms that she has of presentism, is present. So the tendency to interpret past in presentist terms, yes, we've seen that almost. We see that partially with the essay question, but also here, like the second focus on trying to interpret, in being more concerned the contemporary period rather than the past. That's also relevant here and visible here. And she gives a useful introduction here as to what presentism is, but then also, of course, you don't need to know that in very much detail. It's just useful for background knowledge.